Hi, this is Mike again, and here with Caustic Guide beta information. This video is going to focus on settings, which are pretty important. I know they're something that sometimes I ignore, but when I designed these applications, I made sure that settings would allow maximum customizability, and I still have some I haven't enabled, but I'm going to go over the ones that exist right now in this beta, and this stuff can change, but I have tried. I'm getting pretty close to a release, so the ones that are here aren't going anywhere. Okay, so you tap the settings, obviously, and we have each each of these blue bars is a category, so instead of having them all in one list, I've tried to categorize them to make it easier to get to different ones. And so each of these is a subcategory with the two little gears there. So the first one is performance, and there's only one here, and it's the frames per second that the app runs at. And Caustic Guide is not a very animative intensive application, and I have this set at 60, but you could drop it all the way down to 30 if you wanted. It would save battery. I don't know, I haven't tested how much it would, but basically the frames would be drawn half as much, so these apps are drawn on the GPU, so it's that much less work that the CPU and GPU are doing. So if you're running other applications, or if you just don't want it at 60, you can change it here. And one important thing about the settings dialog is that they don't get committed until you actually leave back to the main screen. Because right when you go back, then all the settings are updated. They're not updated as you're in the settings. Okay, the second is the general UI. And the first setting is iconize navigation drawer. Minimize the navigation drawer and only show icons. I got a spelling error there. Okay, so this one, if you select it and go back, you can see here that the navigation drawer is iconized, like minimized. There's no text, so it gives you more screen space on smaller stuff. And you can press this hamburger icon, the navigation icon, to hide it. And when it's hidden, on Android, you can pull it out to quickly change and then tap and it goes back. So when it's hidden, you can just pull it out anywhere down here. And then to dock it, you press that button again. And so you can go back and then the items that were originally down here are just collapsed, so you get a pop-up. So to get back to settings, you go there. And to turn it back off, just deselect it. And then the second one is auto hide portrait navigation. I can't really show you this here, but when it's selected, when the application is in portrait mode, it won't allow the navigation drawer to be docked. It'll just, when you hit the hamburger icon, the navigation icon, it will pop out, and then you select something, it'll pop in. I might actually update this to, if it's not selected, since I have the iconize setting now, it will actually dock it with the icons, and I'm sure there's enough space so you can actually have it docked in portrait. So that's something I'll get to. And then auto collapse main navigation. This auto collapse the navigation when selected. Only one navigation category will be open at once. This is handy for down the road when I probably get more items in the navigation drawer. So if it's selected, you can see now they're collapsible lists. So right now the template is open. You select home, export. This is another way to save space. I might actually, when it's in this mode, put some type of indicator up here like orange that it's selected, so you just have a cue that you know what you're in. And you can also go back and select the iconize and have it at the same time, so you can just have these small little things going on. And when you change, you're in those current screens. Okay. And so we'll just set this back to so now the next one is metadata user metadata export. This is an important one, and I need to really explain this one, and I have to finalize it on my end, but this tag caustic files is when you export a caustic file from Caustic Guide. It's basically saving the track as a caustic file to load into the Caustic app. When it's selected, it will add metadata that opens up, and whenever you see those pop-ups in Caustic saying the artist, URL, description, this is the metadata. This is tagging it. So if you have it selected and you export the track to Caustic, it will have that pop up. But if you don't have it selected, it won't tag the metadata onto the file. And the creator, vendor, and URL are defaults. So if you add your info in here and URL foo, and then we go back and save this. I'm just showing you this, but when you create, say we just create, I haven't got to this, but you create an empty template. Those settings, those default metadata settings will end up auto-populating right here. And this is the information, this metadata is what gets tagged to Caustic. So the URL, so the template name will show, the creator will show, and the vendor will show. So I'd have Teody Graphics here. And then the description and the URL will show. Those will all those values will be in the metadata pop-up that Reg has for Caustic. So entering those in the settings just automatically enters them here, so you don't have to type them all the time if they stay the same. So again, you can see these three will all get pre-populated when you create templates or you import a Caustic file that is then converted to a template. Dialog warnings, unsaved template, and destructive operation. These are for like new users, and they add an additional pop-up before you load remove machines. Any destructive operations that wipes the machine rack, they'll give you pop-ups asking you if you're sure you want to do it. For people that know what they're doing, they could turn these off, and then the actions will automatically execute without having to click OK on the dialogues. It's just a speed thing, workflow. And then the UI, show file dialog scroll bar. If you have this selected, it will show a scroll bar in the file explorer. So if we just go to load, you can see here. So it's just one of the users asked for it, and I'll have it thicker, and you can use it to scroll long lists and also know if there's more there. Because default, it doesn't show, it just shows when you're scrolling. Okay, and then we've got paths general. These probably need a short video of their own, but basically there's a lot of different ways that Caustic Guide can export sounds and such with prepended names of the template, so you get some pretty original sound names without having to enter it. So some of these things can add the template name on a sound and then put it in a subdirectory, so it kind of automatically stores the things for you where you're not having to make subdirectories for templates and stuff. So I'll make a video about these settings and show each of them so it's really obvious what they do. and then library location. This location is this is an important setting because with Caustic Remix, most of the time you're remixing tracks and you're not creating library items that Caustic Guide makes, because Caustic Guide creates templates and sounds and other things, and this library is where they get automatically saved. There's usually when you export a library item, there's two options. There's a export and then export as. And if you use export as, you'll be able to define the directory location exactly. So if you want to save something out of the root of this library, you can use the export as for the library item. But if you use export, that's automatic, so it skips the step of having to select the directory. And so this directory right here is the root that it saves it as in their folders like sounds, effects, patterns, templates. So with this, if you use Caustic Guide for the source of all your material and then Caustic Remix or Tones to load in these pieces that you created in this application, you can then take in those apps, they have the same exact setting, so you can change this, and you just like, we go back to here, I have Caustic Remix, and so then I would select the library and then OK, and now you can see it shows my library directory root as the Caustic Remix library, so anything that I export here will automatically get saved into Caustic Remix. Or you can select this in Caustic Remix and point it to Caustic Guide directory. So I'll just set this back. And that's it for now. Like I said, I'll go back and do the general, all this stuff. This is pretty confusing for people if you don't quite understand how the app works. Okay, and remember that the settings do not get committed until you come back to the screen. And I did forget one. In the general UI, there's this experimental application screen scale, and right now I'm on Windows and you can see it's set at 1.5, and so this is scaled up by 0.5, so everything is half bigger than it normally is on Windows, and I'm doing that for the screen capture. But for phones, you could scale this down to like 0.7, and you would actually get more screen space, so you can see more. And I've had a beta tester user try this, and it seems to work pretty well on his phone, because he was really limited with space, but now he has a lot more room. And sometimes this setting, because of the way the fonts are rendered, you should just restart the app so it loads up with the new scale. Sometimes the fonts don't get resized. That's the one bug, and I don't know if I can fix it. So anyway, that is the settings, and I'll be back with more. Thanks.